Mary, are you here? Mary, I have some questions. I've been reading the Bible, and I was wondering, are the stories of Genesis real? Like, did those things in Genesis like really happen? Um, like, um, like Noah's Ark and stuff like that. Did that really happen? Why? Oh, U N U S T L A R EARN. You must learn. Mary, what do you mean I must learn? What does that mean? I C A L L O N Y O U R G U T. You said, I call on your gut. So you want me to go through life not knowing, but just having a feel for what's true. Is that correct? I N A S E N S E. Hmm. Um, Mary, so like I was wondering, like there's specific things that happened in the Bible, and I was wondering, like the scripture isn't clear, and I was wondering if you could tell me, like how many pairs of animals did Noah take on the ark? Like I've read sources that say that he did 7 pairs of animals. Um, I've read things that said that he took like 7 times 7, 49 animals, and I've read um, things that say that he just took 7 animals of each kind. And I was wondering if you could answer me that, like, what's the number of animals per kind that he took on the ark, as far as what the text means. A S K A H U M A N G U I D E. So you said ask a human guide. So you don't want to talk about anything biblical. Is that true? Yes. Okay. Mary, I was wondering, in the fifth dimension, are there holidays uh like Christmas? Are there holidays in the fifth dimension? I F or I E E Y P U C H O O S E T H E N. Mary, what was the first word? I got choose them, but I didn't get the first few words. You wrote, was the first word you wrote I? Okay. What was the first word you wrote? I F O. And then you wrote if, and then was the second word you wrote you? If you choose them. Well, Mary, have you ever celebrated a holiday when you're in the fifth dimension? Have you personally celebrated any holidays? Yes. Mary, do you celebrate Christmas in the fifth dimension? I H A V E. You have. Mary, when you celebrate Christmas, is it on the same day that I celebrate Christmas, or is it on a different day? W H E N I C H O O S E. When you choose. So, what do you normally choose? Do you choose to celebrate it on the same day that I celebrate, or do you choose to celebrate on a different day? Yes. No. So, what does yes and no mean? You mean, could you explain? B O T H. Both. Okay. Well, that's interesting, Mary. Mary, I'm wondering, there's all these. You've said that wisps are alive, or wisps not alive. They exist. Fairies exist, and nymphs exist. And I was wondering, are gnomes something that exists as well? Gnomes? Yes. Mary, have you ever talked to a gnome? No. Mary, do gnomes live in the in between area where ghosts live? In between the third and the fourth dimension. Do gnomes live there? Yes. Wow, Mary, and do gnomes know how to talk, like with their voice? Do they talk? I N T H E I R W A Y in their way. Mary, do gnomes like animals? Like, I remember there was a show called David the Gnome when I was a child, and the gnomes really liked animals. Do the gnomes really like animals? Like, is that for real? They have a special connection with animals? S O N E. Mary, so you've never seen or talked. You've never talked to a gnome. Have you ever seen a gnome? Have you ever seen one? No. So, Mary, how do you know about gnomes? Like, you haven't seen them. Did people tell you about the gnomes? Sort of like they told you about the dinosaurs? Yes. That's interesting. Mary, I was wondering about like frequency and like electromagnetic frequency here. Well, first, before I go into that, um, do gnomes go to the fourth dimension like the same as wisps and the same as fairies and nymphs? They go to the fourth dimension. Yes. Do gnomes ever make it to the fifth dimension? No. Okay. Mary, I'm curious about music and frequency, and I was wondering, like, here we have like A is now like 440 hertz, and some people say that that there's better frequencies than 440 hertz. Like, for example, like 432 hertz they say that's better than 440 hertz. Is it true that um, that some frequencies are better, like they're like healing, or they they're better than other frequencies? Is that true? No. Wow, that's interesting. Huh. Mary, I was wondering. There's like there's low frequencies like 432 and 440 hertz, and then there's like really high frequencies like they can be thought of in like nanometer, like they could be converted to their wavelength, which is nanometer, and they're like huge, like much higher frequencies, and that's why they're measured in nanometer because it's a smaller number. And I was wondering, if I played a sine wave, say at like 432 or 440 or whatever, I played a sine wave, would all the frequencies of that octave, even up to those very high ones that are measured in wavelengths, um, are they do they like sort of like line up and resonate with the sine wave? Yes, that's interesting. So I'm wondering, Mary, if I if there was a nanometer um, um, if there was a nanometer wavelength that was particularly healing, like say it scattered cancer or something like that, and I played the sine wave to that, would that make me also would that be beneficial then? Would that make all the electromagnetic noise that's in the environment, would that make that all sort of line up to the sine wave um, base frequency, fundamental? A C A N T S A Y. You can't say. It seems like it might, and if it might, then there might be some benefit to to listening to like uh, certain fun music in certain keys or frequency fundamental. Um, I don't know, roots. Um, Mary, is it bad karma to eat animals? No. Mary, is it have you ever heard of I'm just wondering, have you ever heard of something called the Law of One? It's a book here where someone channels a spirit, and then they wrote a book called the Law of One. Have you ever heard of the Law of One? No. Mary, are there many different levels in the in between area of the third dimension and the fourth dimension? Like, is there like the gnomes and wisps? Do they come in contact with ghosts, or is there a sort of block where the gnomes live in the gnome realm and the ghosts live in the ghost realm? No? No? And then L, L, A, R, E, I, N, P. Is that an O or an N? I can't tell. Oh, that's O-N-E. No, all are in one. So do ghosts talk to or do ghosts interact with gnomes and wisps and the like? Yes. That's interesting. Mary, a while ago when I was using the Ouija board, I was talking to a ghost that was in the in between area, and I tried to make them go to the fourth dimension. I tried to like I told them that there was a fourth dimension and they could go to it. Um, how how is it that ghosts? How do they eventually get out of ghosthood? How do they make that transition? I C A N T K N O W B U T E E W D O. I don't know, but Mary, what was the word that you said after but? Because I got EEW, but you said something else. What was the word that you said after but? Oh, I know what you said. You said few do. Few. F-E-W. Few do. So you're saying that most ghosts don't don't ever transition from the ghost realm into the fourth dimension? Is that what you're saying? You just said yes. Mary, are there a lot of ghosts? S O M E some. So ghosts, there aren't even really a lot of ghosts. Mary, I've seen like videos of ghosts that are in the there's war zones like from the Civil War, and there's still ghosts. Um, they're like still performing out. They still think they're in the war, and they're like still fighting the war. Can you tell me about that? Like, are those the real spirits, or are those just, I don't know, some kind of like energetic memory? Like, are those real ghosts that are being seen? No. What do you mean, no? E. And E. R. G. Y. You wrote energy. Are you saying that they are energy? That they're not ghosts? Is that what you mean? They are energy and they're not real ghosts. Yes. Wow. So ghosts aren't really ghosts aren't ubiquitous. Is that true? Yes. Did you just write yes? Yes. So is it mostly mean people that become ghosts? Like very mean people? No. Um, how does one become a ghost? Or, yeah, how does one become a ghost? I am, thank you, I am U S T G O L E A D E R S C A L L. Goodbye. Okay, goodbye, Mary. Thank you for talking to me.